Good morning, everybody. We're going to start off the week of reviews with a look at another Neil Young archive release. This time, we're going to look at Neil's Chrome Dreams album. As you recall, a couple weeks ago, we did a review of Chrome Dreams 2. While this is Chrome Dreams, the original. And it was recorded between 1974 and 1976, not released until August 11th of 2023. Now, this record for years had been talked about in Neil circles, and there was some bootleg copies circulating through Neil Young, groups like Neil Young online message board groups and stuff. But like I said, this is a record that was recorded between 1974 and 1976, and some of the songs we already had released. They had already been released on Hitchhiker, which we talked about in our previous review, which I believe was released as kind of a taste of what was to come on Chrome Dreams. Now most of Chrome Dreams was recorded at Indigo Ranch during the sessions for what would later become American Stars and Bars. Although some of it was recorded at Broken Arrow Ranch, I believe, like the versions of Homegrown, which I believe is the same version that is on American Stars and Bars, and the version of Like a Hurricane, which I believe the only difference in the version of Like a Hurricane that's on American Stars and Bars and the version that we have on Chrome Dreams is that I believe the version that's on Stars and Bars just fades out, whereas the version at the end, whereas the version that's on Chrome Dreams, there is an ending on it, which I was so thrilled to hear, because I had, along with all Neil fans, I had been reading about Chrome Dreams for years, and I was so excited and thrilled that Neil finally decided to release it, because like I said, I had been reading about it for years, and I had always wondered, what certain songs sounded like, and I had seen a track listing for Chrome Dreams years ago, so I'm just beyond excited that it's finally here. And and something else that I had read about is that in one of my books, Neil discussed the cover of the CD cover, the cover art of Chrome Dreams, and I had always kind of wondered what it looked like, and so I was thrilled to be able to, that Neil decided to go along with his, go ahead with his original concept for the cover, because it's a cool cover, which you will see in the video. And the only song that was recorded live was one of my favorite Neil songs ever. This is a song called String Man that I believe he wrote for Stephen Stills, or parts of it were written for Stephen. And the first time I'd heard it was on, because it's on Neil's Unplugged show, so I'm real glad that we have another version of it, although I was kind of hoping it would be a studio version, but it's okay. And one of the things about it is that, I was expecting it just to be Neil at the piano, but there is a vocal part at the end, at the very beginning of it, that kind of reminds me of Crosby, Stills, CSNY harmonies, and I think it is just tremendous. And as a matter of fact, I thought it would have made a great CSNY song, especially on something like Human Highway, which was their mythical album that they worked on and then scrapped in 1974. And so I after hearing that, I would have loved to have heard the CSNY version of it. And but it is like one of my favorite songs from Chrome Dreams. Another favorite of mine is the version of Hold Back the Tears, which I believe is just a solo version. I think this was it's just a solo version. There's no band behind Neil. It's just him and his guitar and voice, I think. Although he does harmonies, but I think all the vocal parts are him. And it is rather different than the version of Hold Back the Tears that's on American Stars and Bars. But I think it's the demo version of Hold Back the Tears, but it's tremendous, and it's kind of jarring to hear it without the band, but it's tremendous. And that's another thing. Chrome Dreams started life as an acetate, which for those of you that don't know, acetates were an early form of demo that you could actually play just once before they became unplayable. And Neil, I think Neil recorded Chrome Dreams and then kept it, and and or he turned it into the record company, and they said go back and do more with these songs, because I think there's oh, and two, there is a version of Look Out for My Love that I think that I know was recorded for Comes a Time, so I think that's kind of what the record company was talking about, because there is like a Crazy Horse version of Look Out for My Love that, as we know, Neil expanded on, because his conceptual idea for Comes a Time was an acoustic record, and the as is the case with a lot of record companies, the record company wanted him to add more to that, so he acquiesced and gave us Comes a Time, which we will be discussing in a later review, but I thought I would throw that little tidbit of information in. But I love Chrome Dreams, and there's not a bad song on it. Some of my favorites, like I said, are String Man. I love the acoustic version of Powderfinger, which is another holdover, which is another track that was on Hitchhiker, and I love the version of Homegrown. Oh, and two, the version of Sedan Delivery. That's another thing I wanted to point out. I had never heard a studio version of it, because the version of Sedan Delivery that's on Rust Never Sleeps is a live version, I believe, and it is a lot faster than this version. This version is a lot slower, and I think some of the words are altered, but it's another case of, like, I had always wanted to hear a studio version of it, and now I have one, and it is like tremendous, and I just love it. So there's really not a bad song on this record, and I hope you enjoy it. Hi everybody. I wanted to put a little addendum on the end of this video. The version of String Man was recorded at the Budokan in Japan on a Japanese show of the Zuma Tour. And by the way, the Budokan show was also released shortly after Chrome Dreams. So if there are any Neil fans out there, you can check that one out too.